Okay, so we're here with Jamie and Eddie from Team Avila. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
How's campaigning going?
I think it's pretty good.
Pretty good so far?
Yeah.
Good. All right, so I'm just going to jump right into it.
Cool.
You've mentioned before that you've seen some gaps within the USC. What gaps specifically are you talking about?
Sure. I would say one of the main ones that we really wanted to touch on when designing our platform and kind of our approach has been to make sure that the student perspective is being acknowledged and being incorporated into every sort of decision that is being made, but also getting that feedback and constant feedback. Yes, we have 2 weeks right now to meet a lot of students, and it's a great opportunity, but we should be continuing this type of behavior throughout the year. And if we were lucky enough, I think, to get these positions, that's something that we really wanted to make a priority, to acknowledge all those different perspectives that the students have and really make sure that we are working for the students, not identifying their problems, but having them identify the problems and challenges that they face, so then they can help us create a good solution for these problems.
So how are you going to go about doing that, making that constant communication between the student body?
I think one of the things is, so this year I'm the Associate Vice President External, and I noticed that in any of the projects that our portfolio was working on, there really was no consultation with the students in general. So one of our big goals is we want to use a advocacy team, and this team is really for on the ground advocacy work to go out to the students, whether it's going to faculty councils, going to residences for dinner, or even just going to class and asking that person beside you what they think of the projects the USC is working on, and that's how we plan on getting feedback. And also spending more time out of the USC office, whether it's working in the spoke, allowing students to come up to us and have those casual conversations about what they want to see the USC doing.
Yeah, so just going with that, you guys, I understand, are both from London, Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to relate to students who really treat Western's campus as their second home? So people who are from other cities, other provinces, even other countries, how will you make that connection?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, especially since we do have almost one side of the story. And that goes back to almost our whole philosophy for the campaign, is that we do need to actively be reaching out to students, whether that's a non-traditional first year incoming student, whether it's a mature student, international student, and how having them have a say in what their perspectives are and what their experiences are at Western, that they can we can use their insights to produce more manageable and tangible things that will actually help them improve their experience here. Acknowledging yes, we are London local, so we bring one side of the story, but there are so many different parts to that. So again, it's reaching out to the students and incorporating them and hearing their voice within these decisions.
So making that connection. So your platform talks about for now and for later. One of the for nows is basically improving academic counseling.
Yeah.
When do you foresee making those changes? Before course registration, or when will that pan out?
I think the reason we've put that in for now is because we really want to make it a priority, but we do realize that it will take a lot of work to make something like that happen. It's about working with Western to create this centralized system for each of the academic counseling offices, but then also going to IT to have it made so it can go online. So I think what ideally we would want to see is by the end of our term, it's implemented, and we could see it happen sooner. But it's one of those, we wanted to put it for now to make it a real priority that we can hopefully make it happen within the year.
So also with that then, Reading Week, how feasible is attaching that to our Thanksgiving break, putting a fall Reading Week in the first term?
So these types of projects, and often we hear some sort of repetitious points that are included on platform points, and our kind of rationale behind that is just making sure that all the work that previous executives have done isn't left behind, right? So we have it as a for later ask, just because we realize that it gets a little bit tricky when working with academic issues in particular, and we do acknowledge our limitations, being yes, a primary student advocate, but not having direct oversight over the Senate. So incorporating different student senators and helping and supporting them get these initiatives going. So in terms of feasibility, I think it is something that we strive to, and it's something that has been talked about a lot. Very recently, we were at a USC meeting where they talked about almost the feasibility of this happening. So it is in the works, but acknowledging that though we might not have direct oversight, we do have some influence in this, and that's why we've kind of placed a lot of these academic asks within our 4 later, just acknowledging that we will try our best to get the ball rolling and keep this kind of like continuity for years to come, but understanding that we might not be able to get it like the next day, right?
Yeah, and a quick add to that too, one of the things to note is that Western has around 62 instructional days per semester, and if we look at other schools, a lot of schools have around 58. So that is a reasonable ask when doing any advocacy priority for that, to show that other schools have less instructional days and we could use those days to make that fall reading break.
So why do you think a fall reading week is important for our student body?
So I think it's from the students itself, we've heard that mental health and mental well-being and wellness as a whole is something that we're striving for and trying to keep the conversation going and keep improving as a campus. And that's a prime example of sometimes you just need a break, and sometimes you need to be inclusive of the different types of students that are on our campus, whether that be international or out-of-province students. Like this at least gives them an outlet to possibly go visit their family over Thanksgiving. So you have like a full week rather than just a couple of sporadic days. Again, being inclusive of the different types of students we have on campus, but also acknowledging the types of asks that the students are currently having. That being with like especially mental health resources, and we do touch on that a couple of times within our platform and how we can try to better support students, even given certain resources that we already have in place, but better utilizing certain resources.
So this year especially, we've had a lot of open dialogue about mental health at Western. How are you going to improve that for students if you are elected?
Yeah, one of the main things is we are really happy to see the progress that's been made with the Peer Support Center in the past 2-ish years, but we do see it's kind of being underutilized as a resource. Now when it comes to mental well-being, we do know that peer-to-peer mentorship is very, very important in that recovery process, and that's why the Peer Support Center is very important. So we want to work with the health services here at Western to allow them to know that the Peer Support Center doesn't exist, and to encourage their patients to kind of use this resource as well. Not as a supplement, but as another opportunity to encourage mental well-being. And we also do want to run more programming and diverse programming through the Peer Support Center to give more of a recognition to the center and allow students to know that it exists. Because we do have volunteers that go through 3 days of training, and they're very well versed in these issues and to kind of mentor students within these areas, and we want to encourage that people are utilizing the service.
And just to quickly add on that, I think like we can't discredit the fact that there are some overutilized services like SDC and SHS, so there is a need, but then there's some underutilized services like the Peer Support Center. So with a collaboration, I think it's important, like in the meantime, you might get an appointment for 4 weeks down the road, but in the meantime, what can we do to make sure that we are meeting the needs of the students immediately? And that might just be a simple referral to the peer support, like as you're waiting for your appointment, here's some peer-to-peer counseling, which is part of that coping mechanism, which is part of that recuperation.
Perfect. So if you could summarize what you as a president and you as vice president want to do in one word, what would it be?
Oh my goodness. So do we each get one word? So a
Sure.
total of 2 words.
Yes, 2 words.
Can we combine our 2 words? Like
Whatever you like.
for
Students?
For students.
I think that's pretty
What's
good.
one main message that you want your student body to know that you will bring to them if you're elected?
Yeah. So I think the main message we want is that we're here to listen. We need to play an active role in seeking out these feedback. We can't expect like we're going to have people flocking to us, giving constructive critiques or feedback. We need to start using our resources and making ourselves more accessible and actually actively reaching out to students.
So where can students find more details on your campaign?
So you can like us on Facebook, there's Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and all of those are Vote Team Avila. Or at Vote Team Avila, and then there's also our website, which is teamavila.ca, where you can find our videos, a little bit about ourselves, and also our platform. And we definitely encourage everyone to check it out because we really want like constructive feedback and criticisms and support. And like this is a conversation, not necessarily just like a piece of a document. So like we want to get people talking about it, and the more student input we have, I think the better.
Perfect. Thank you, and good luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you.